If you're not making tacos, I don't love you no more.
Whew, it's that time again. The tacos and the chorizo is sizzling. No more bacon. We're done with the bacon. But I did want to defer to our fleshy friend, Mr. Moresh, to have him go first in Mr. Canadian Bacon this evening, and then have making tacos as your second course. And in tonight's tacos, I wanted to start with the hat controversy heard around the world last week. Yes, it was controversial to hear what my hat was from. Is it a straw hat? Am I Nick Saban? Where is it coming from? Well, fear not. The budget has been upped, and we have a real sombrero.
Oh, nice.
For the second edition of Making Tacos. Yes. So it is time to officially start making said tacos. And I wanted to incorporate my best friend in the chat, Curtis. Why do I look like a generic John Wick this evening? Maybe this sombrero will make it look a little less John Wick-ish. And D.A., you can do the math if this looks anything like me at the end of said Making Tacos.
Okay.
But let's start with, yes, there's John Wick right there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know what that says about me, but we will push on, just like I'm Malcolm in the Middle as well. Let's start with your today's calientes, which I said it last week. I was high on them. They were featured on the Taco Tuesday game of the week. The Houston Cougars, number 5 in the country. They had a 2-0 week, beating both Arizona State on Tuesday, which gave them their 12th straight road win, DA. That's the longest streak in the country, actually longest in Big 12 history. And yes, back-to-back years, they're closing in on a Big 12 regular season title, essentially usurping Kansas as the class of the conference. So I'm very high, or bullish, as one might say. I couldn't reference the Houston Cougars and Kelvin Sampson, because Mr. Sampson is the 4th most winningest coach without a national championship, still coaching. Your friend Rick Pitino has one. John Calipari has one. Tom Izzo has one. You see there, Rick Barnes at Tennessee does not have one. Dane Altman at Oregon, Mark Few. And then Mr. Kelvin Sampson, who made a Final Four a couple of years ago at Houston. This might have been the team the DA picked to win last year. Yeah, so that's the only flaw in the ointment, or fly in the ointment. Yeah. But I love Houston's chances this year because of their defense. So that's number 1 on today's Calientes.
Okay, very good.
Number 2.
I hope we have some Friedman clips in here too. Super Dave.
Oh, we do. We're getting to our get away from me buddies in a couple seconds. The second Caliente I want to get into quickly, and we read each other's minds, DA, because the St. John's Red Storm is muy caliente, especially when Mr. Pitino wears that white suit. Yes, full screen in all its glory. He has not brought this back for a game this season, I believe. This is year 2 for him at St. John's, but he appeared on the Pardon My Take podcast this week and teased a revelation of the white suit. He said, I paid a lot of money for it, so I want to wear it more than once. So stay tuned for that. Things can get even higher. Yes, for the Red Storm. It can get even more caliente this.
Okay, white hot.
White hot, yes. And then who else is muy caliente? How about Alex Rodriguez? You say, Marquette Marvel, why is A-Rod appearing in Making Tacos this week? Well, A-Rod had a panel to speak to at Bucknell University today, which is the alma mater of his co-owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Mark Lowry. That purchase was just made final last week, and he is going through as the full-time owner of the Timberwolves. So he and his friend Mark appeared at Bucknell today, did a little speech, and attended the basketball game. Great. Well, my friends, A-Rod also had an opportunity to win $10,000 for this said Bucknell student if he made a half-court shot, and here's how it went.
Look at that. A-Rod actually coming up in the clutch, ironically, for somebody.
Ironically, winning $10,000 for the student who told him he was a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Well, then A-Rod came back with, you and your family have to become Yankees fans after that. So congrats to A-Rod. Congrats to that student from Bucknell for winning $10,000 on just a random Sunday. You know, A-Rod wants to just fly down to Virginia, have a nice Sunday afternoon matinee, Bucknell basketball. Where else would you rather be? So he is muy caliente this week.
I think Bucknell is in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, excuse me. My geography is it only extends to Canada because of
okay. Very good.
And without further ado, let's get to our get away from me buddies of the week.
He said, "Get away from me, buddy!"
We planned it to have an Aaron Rodgers segment this week as well because he just can't get away from me, the show. So the get away from me buddies I want to get to this week, the Kansas Jayhawks. I cannot stand them, DA. They were the preseason #1 team in the country and just took the worst loss in the Bill Self era on Tuesday to the BYU Cougars.
Ooh, woof.
Also just beat Arizona yesterday, so they might be caliente as well. But BYU losing by, you want to do the quick math on that? 91-57. I should have done the math in advance, but that's the worst loss.
44 points.
44 points, exactly right.
Right.
So they're
34 points. I don't know.
There, as you see there, 7 Big 12 losses. That's the most Self has ever had in his career. Just what a 44-point drubbing.
34.
34. Correct. Yeah. Correct. Live producing here, live math on the air. Math isn't really our thing. We're making tacos. We're not making equations. So yes, Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks, they've been overrated since day one. If you're looking forward to having them be a 6 or 7 seed in your bracket coming up in a few weeks, I don't see them as a second weekend team. They have Hunter Dickinson, who I think earns the superlative of the most punchable face in college basketball. He's been in the sport for about as long as I have been, which about as long as I've been on earth, I should say, because he's played for Michigan, then he went over to Kansas. If you remember, he did this whole LeBron decision thing to announce his move in the transfer portal, so he can get away from me, buddy.
Yeah.
The second getaway from me, buddy, is Duke's schedule. Yes, Duke is the #3 team in the country, DA, but they had pretty much their last test, if you want to call it, in air quotes, against the Illinois Fighting Illini with their right side up jerseys at Madison Square Garden yesterday and beat Illinois by a wide margin. Shout out to Kevin Miller, by the way, who was in the house and watched his Illinois team absolutely crap the bed once again. And you might think Duke in the ACC, perennial basketball conference, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers with the Syracuse alumni host, but here's their final 4 games. Miami, their coach just retired in the middle of the year, Jim Larinaga. Florida State, Leonard Hamilton also stepping down at the end of the year. Wake Forest, Chris Paul's been gone for a long time, folks. And then North Carolina, which is a bubble team this year. I know it's Duke UNC. Duke beat them by about 100 points last time out. So they're going to Chapel Hill and will probably romp them by 40 again. This team has not been tested. And the one other ranked team in the ACC is Clemson. And that was Duke's last loss. So I'm calling BS on Duke's schedule. They're a certified #1 seed in your bracket coming up. But I think even though John Shire has progressed and made a Sweet 16, made an Elite 8, he's gotten to the second weekend, I smell a little fraudulent smell with them because they have Cooper Flagg and they have a lot of freshmen, as always, that are leading their charge, and that just never wins in March. So Duke's schedule can certainly get away from me.
You will find no ACC defense from this Syracuse Orange alum. To me, yeah, the ACC's way down, and anytime you can take a run at Duke being frauds, I'm all for it. I can't stand Duke, so great. Let's trash them even more.
Trash them and get away from me, buddy. One more time for one good measure.
He said, "Get away from me, buddy!"
Very good info for our brackets coming up here in just a few weeks. You got a tasty top 3 here?
Tasty top three, real quick. Taco Tuesday, Mississippi State traveling to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I am excited for this game. If you love offense and if you love defense, this is a clash of two powers. Alabama plays like an NBA team. Let's put it explicit, because Nate Oates is a former math teacher, loves the analytics. They shoot a lot of threes, and they just crash the glass, kick back out for another three. And then Mississippi State, Chris Jans, known as a defensive-minded guy. Mississippi State had a great win on Tuesday against Texas A&M and Buzz Williams, so I'm looking forward to that for defense versus offense. And then as well, a little taco seasoning, Taco Saturday. Number 1 Auburn is traveling to Rupp to play number 17 Kentucky, which has had its highs and lows this year under first-year coach Mark Pope. But I'm watching Auburn as a potential upset alert here, because I'm thinking they would have at least one more loss, one more hiccup before they get to the tournament, and then it's going to be full steam ahead from there. But Janai Broom just dropped 31 points yesterday in their win against Georgia. This is one of their last true road games on the schedule. And I think Kentucky has the opportunity, as I tighten my sombrero a little bit here, to pull the upset on Saturday. That game's on ABC, by the way, nationally televised, so you can see Janai Broom and the national championship favorites. And finally, tasty top three, number 3, Alabama again, going down to Rocky Top to face Tennessee. I'm high on Tennessee after last week, and this is really just the tasty top 3 is a place for me to just show and educate you as D-aliens to watch Alabama. They are talented. They are fun to watch. Mark Sears is one of the best point guards in the country, dropped 30 points yesterday, and they're going to a Tennessee team with Zakai Ziegler, who is maybe the best defensive point guard in the country. Watch him against Mark Sears. That is an NBA-type matchup battle on Saturday. So that's your tasty top 3, and that is how you make some tacos this week.
If you're not making tacos, I don't love you no more.